Hey Nerfers, I'm Jay, and today I've got something really cool for you guys. I'm going to teach you how to make a NiteMav, that is a combination Nite Finder and Maverick. The biggest problem with the Maverick is that you can't really get a lot of power from it. Even if you put a stronger spring in it, there's not enough air volume, and you have this like gap in between the air hole and the turret, which you lose a lot of air pressure from. So a way to correct that, which it's kind of going to be an advanced mod, so if you're new at this I wouldn't recommend it, but I'm going to be doing what Lord Draconical did and pretty much just taking the top part of the Maverick, or the Nite Finder, excuse me, taking the top part of the Nite Finder and just epoxying it onto the Maverick, and hopefully that will work. But I'm going to go step by step and show you what to do. I've got a completely stock Nite Finder and a completely stock Maverick, and this is my roommate's, and so this will be his once it's complete, and hopefully it will turn out alright. So I'm going to go ahead and start taking things apart and showing you what you need to do. Okay, so I have both blasters apart, and if you have a stock Nite Finder, you're going to see that the barrel part comes apart into like 3 or 4 pieces over here, and what you want to do is you actually want to like grind a hole through the middle of this, but leave this intact, because you're going to flip it over and cut off this part, which is from the Maverick, and super glue it onto this. It should fit in perfectly. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that off camera and show you after that's finished. Okay, so I've got everything ground down on this part, so that will be flush. You want to make sure that you've got the placement of it right, so that everything will fit in good. So what you want to do is you want to take some Loctite super glue and open it, obviously, and you want to apply generous amounts to the surface of the air hole, and then you want to place it in there with a firm amount of pressure, and make sure it's aligned correctly, and then start super gluing around the edge, because you want it to be an airtight seal. I'm probably going to end up epoxying this a little bit, probably add some, just to make sure that it seals good. You don't want any air escaping out of that. Okay, so that's pretty good. So the next step is going to be to cut off this part of the Maverick and cut off the top part of the Nite Finder and put them together. And these are both stock, so I'm going to do all my normal Maverick mods. I'm going to take out the air restrictors, do a full barrel drop, all that jazz. But that I will do off camera, because if you need to know how to do that, check out my other tutorials. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and cut those things apart right now, and it's kind of a bit of a guesswork, and you're going to need to do some cutting out of some parts on the Maverick. So I will tell you what I've done after I do it. Alright, so pretty much what you want to end up doing is really all in here. You want to gouge it all out so it's very, very thin, because the plunger tube is very bulky, and you really want to make it fit in there. So you really want to, you're going to end up having to take out this screw post here, so, but that's okay, because you're going to get a screw post on the top right in the back, so it's not too big a deal. Sacrifice one screw post for the greater good of having an awesome blaster. So I am going to go ahead and cut up the Nite Finder and show you how I did that after I've done it. Alright everyone, so I've cut off the pieces of the shell that I need for the NiteMav. It's another day. As you can see, there are pieces of plastic everywhere. I'm super duper impressed with the performance of this Dremel. I'm so happy. It works so much better than the other rotary tool that I had before. So I'm not going to, dwell on that any longer. What you're going to have to do is, I ended up cutting it all the way to the end of the tactical rail, but you're going to have to kind of eyeball it and gouge it out with your rotary tool as you go. And I have a little bit of space on each side, but I wanted to line up with this part right here, and you're going to have to make this wider because you're going to need to fit the trigger catch through here. And I'm not really sure yet just, you know, how I'm going to be placing the trigger, because you're going to have to get the trigger on here. I also needed to take out the metal rod in here that was holding the Maverick trigger catch, excuse me. And I just kind of Dremeled that out and Dremeled this part down because I didn't want the Nite Finder trigger to interfere with that. So you're also going to have to, I took out the piece that stops it from dropping fully, and there's just some more cleaning up that I'm going to have to do with this. The next step then would be to, once you make sure everything fits pretty well, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to do the seal improvement with the rubber band. The only problem with that I found out about that was that it changes the rotation. So I'm going to have to end up adding another spring, which is how you fix that. So I will show you that later. But for now, what I wanted to do was just kind of start maybe epoxy puttying stuff together. And you really want to make sure that everything is lined up correctly, because otherwise you're going to have a huge problem. So, like, you really want everything, all the seams to line up, all that fun, happy jazz. And yeah, I'm really thinking that this is going to be a very cool thing once it's finished. This is a pretty much a direct copy of what Lord Draconical does, although I think he used some pieces from an Element. I'm just using a Maverick and a Nite Finder, and it looks like it should work fairly well. So I'm very excited for this. I think it's going to be very cool, and it's going to kick some butt, and my roommate is going to be very happy with this. I'm also going to be making a holster for him, but I will just show you guys that once it's done. For now, I am going to start working on epoxying things together, and I might do that in the sped up motion. I kind of like that. I don't know what you guys thought about that. If you saw my Orange Maverick's Immortal kit for the long shot, if you saw that video, I was playing around with some of the settings on my camera, and I ended up having to speed it up. Well, not having to speed it up. I ended up using a sped up setting, which made it look really cool. So I might do that. We'll see. I may just do this stuff off camera and show it to you guys, because you guys, if you're attempting this mod, you should already have epoxied some things. This should not be the first thing you should try to be putting together. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm probably going to use some epoxy putty as well as some regular epoxy for metal, because I found that works the best, because it's really powerful and it kicks butt. So yeah, cool stuff in the works. I'm going to go ahead and start attaching things, and just a quick heads up, you just really want to be very sure that everything is lined up correctly. I am going to make sure I kept this side on, this screw post here. I kept that part on because I wanted it to attach to the back of the Nite Finder area like it does in stock form. Just because I knew it would need the support, because I have a spring combo over here which is fairly strong. So yeah, I'm excited. This is going to be very cool. We're going to paint it over spring break, probably. I haven't decided on the color scheme yet. I don't know what I'm going to name it yet, but it'll come out cool, I'm sure. So yeah, fun stuff. Okay everyone, so I have the pieces epoxy puttied on, and as you can see, I've added another spring because I'm anticipating a lot of draw from the plunger tube. A lot of drag, excuse me. It's not going to look very pretty right now. I'm not going to be able to paint it for a few weeks, but it hopefully will function very nicely. As you can see, what I did here is I used some hot glue. Hold on, I'm going to focus in on this real quick, if I can. There we go. Alright, so this and this is what I use to first set the piece in place. You want to line up on the seams as close as possible, and then using hot glue in two places, that gives it some stability, so then you can add the epoxy putty on. And then as long as it doesn't get in the way or it doesn't, you know, make it look any uglier, you can leave the hot glue because it'll just add to the stability. So I've got both sides on, and then for the other side, what you want to do is you want to put the shell together and then put both pieces on, add a little bit of hot glue on the outside so it gives it some stability, flip it over, add some on the other side, and then add epoxy putty. So I've doubled up on the spring. I've still got the spring behind the trigger here, if you can see that. And now I've got a firefly spring attached right there. And now I'm going to be adding a little piece of rubber band to the air release hole here, like I've done in my improving the seal mods for the Maverick. And so that was the problem I was running into, was that it was adding too much drag on the barrel, and I ended up taking it off my other Mavericks. But now that I realized that you can just add another return spring and it'll rotate anyways, it makes the trigger pull a bit harder, but other than that it should be good. So I'm gonna go ahead and you know, start figuring out how to put the trigger on, and I will show you what I've done afterwards. Alright guys, so I have attached what's left of the Nite Finder trigger to the Maverick trigger, and I've used hot glue to get it started, and I've reinforced it with epoxy putty, and it seems pretty sturdy. I don't think it's going anywhere. So if it breaks, then yeah, that'll suck. But I don't think it's going to break. So yeah, so I'm going to add the rubber band piece to the front of the air release hole, put it all back together, and hopefully give this thing a test firing. So I'm very excited. It is looking pretty cool. I ended up doing it a little bit crooked, but I think it should not affect the functionality of the blaster one bit, and it will still look very cool. So yeah, I'm going to put it all back together. I'm also going to pad the plunger. You guys can probably figure out how to pad a plunger. I mean, come on. So, yeah, I'm not foreseeing any more really big problems with it. I'm hoping everything will go okay. So, yeah, I'm pretty stoked for this. I'll show it to you guys. I'll probably give you one more shot with everything in place, maybe, I think. Oh, I added a bit of hot glue down here to reinforce the plunger tube. I ended up taking out the screw hole there because it was in the way, and there was a majority of the plastic down here which I had to actually Dremel out because it was stopping the plunger tube from sitting properly. So there you go. So yeah, that's what it is. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this all put together for you guys. Yeah. Okay guys, so here it is, the finished NiteMav. I had quite a bit of trouble getting it all together and finished. There were a lot of things that were giving me some problems. The timing was off. I put the trigger too far forward, and then I put it too far back, so I had to grind it down and change the angle of it so it would actually fire when the trigger was all the way pulled back. So that took a little while. I'm still working out some of the kinks with it. It's got all my mods that I normally do for the Maverick: full barrel drop, AR removal, and I've got the rubber band in there as well. So that has been giving me a bit of trouble. So I'm still working out the kinks with it. It has a lot of potential, but it does take a lot of time. It is very time consuming, and it took all my patience to be able to get it done and work out all the bugs, and I will definitely come back to this later and figure it out. So I'm going to fire it for you. The draw is very smooth. The trigger pull is much more difficult now because you're fighting the friction from the rubber band, and I've got an extra return spring, so that's quite a bit. But firing it it's definitely got a bit of a punch to it, so I'm just kind of still working out some of the timing issues with it. And I've got 2 left. And once you get it right, it can definitely send the darts pretty well. So if you guys want me to make you one of these, I can definitely do these for a commission over summer vacation. That could definitely be something you guys could commission me to do. I'm definitely looking into doing more of these. I might make one for myself. I'm going to make a holster for this one for my roommate. But yeah, so yeah, if you guys want a commission from me over those summer months, please let me know. Send me a message. I'll be open for commissions at that time. I've got some cool stuff in the works. I'm working on a slide breech single Titan, which I will be selling on eBay. So just to give you guys a little heads up about that. So yeah, cool stuff is in the works, and that'll be that. So if you guys have any comments or questions, don't hesitate to ask. Leave them in the section below. If I missed anything, just let me know. If you know, all that jazz, you know the deal. So I'm Jay. Thank you for watching. Signing off.